According to the Glossary of Educational Reform, an e-portfolio is a compilation of student work in digital form assembled for the purpose of evaluating coursework or assessing academic achievement. The e-portfolio tool that I will be discussing today is Microsoft OneNote, specifically OneNote's class notebook, which I use every day in my classroom. So why use e-portfolios? There's a couple different ways of using them. First is developmental e-portfolios, and this has to do with collecting artifacts over a period of time, which is how I use OneNote. I'm able to see my students' daily notes and homeworks, and I can see how they're progressing over the course of a unit. There are also reflective e-portfolios, which have to do with students reflecting on their work and explaining their process in creating said work. And lastly, there are representational e-portfolios, which show students' final products. This would be more geared towards looking at a student's final project and less so how they got to that point. Teachers at my school are currently using a variety of tools for e-portfolios. Some of these are Dropbox, Evernote, Canvas, and the e-portfolio that I will be focusing on today, which is OneNote. OneNote's class notebook have personal spaces for every student. And that's where students can take daily notes, do homework, or do graded assignments. Then they also have a content library, and this is where students can go to see the materials for class, especially if they were absent, because then they can refer back to see the completed notes that I took during class on the board. And then lastly, there's also a collaboration space. And this is where students can work together on problems or can have class-wide discussions. I personally use OneNote for a developmental e-portfolio. OneNote allows me to look at any student's work at any time. I can go into a student's notebook to see how they did on their homework or to see if they are taking effective notes, which is sometimes an issue. I can also use the Review Student Work feature to look at every student's Chapter 3 open-ended problem. This allows me to easily flip through each student's open-ended problem to grade. For students that do not have internet access at home, they can copy over their homework during the school day, and they can still complete it without internet when they go home. It will automatically sync the next day once they are on Wi-Fi again. Another great feature about OneNote is that it allows you to embed material, including Microsoft Forms. So this lets me get even more forms of student artifacts of learning all in one place. Of course, there are a few cons. Some that I've seen are that there's some lag time if I'm using the collaboration space with my students. Another con is that the latest version does not have an equation writer like Microsoft Word does. And then lastly, there's limited functions on the online version, so you really want to be using the app version on your computer. After talking to others who use OneNote at my school, there were a lot of things that my colleagues loved about OneNote. Of course, there are also a few drawbacks to keep in mind. Some advantages are that students can type or write using their HP pens. Students can choose to take traditional notes or sketch notes, which helps meet the needs of different learners and learning styles. Teachers also love how you can easily check progress over time and can embed all of the needed content for an activity or lesson in one place. Some negatives that they pointed out are disadvantages of most technologies. For one, OneNote needs internet access to update and sync. Last week, my school's internet was lacking, which made it hard for students' OneNote pages to update. Another downside is that for lower level students, having them do all of their work electronically means giving them sufficient time to get comfortable with using said technology. Overall, OneNote is a great tool for e-portfolios because you can watch student growth, you can easily adjust for different learners, and you can embed content. Of course, there are a few things to look out for, such as giving students enough time to learn OneNote and looking out for technology issues.